All right, consumers of financial news have watched the current leg of the stock market with astonishment and constant warnings that first initially it would be short-lived, and then more recently, of course, it's a bubble. But it's been a boon for investors who bought in, especially those who follow the work of my next two guests. Here to weigh in, Spear Invest founder and CIO Ivana Delevska, along with IO Fund lead tech analyst Beth Kindig. Ladies, thank you very much. First of all, I tell you, whenever there's a serious AI question or topic, you are my two people to call. You are amazing, you're phenomenal, and you've made people a lot of money. So first and foremost, I want to get that out of the way. Now let's talk about the AI bubble, Beth, because that's all they wrote about last year. It's like every hiccup was an AI bubble, it's going to burst. What do you say to people who ask you, what about the AI bubble?
I don't see an AI bubble. What I see is a stage of R&D development. That means these big tech companies are spending hundreds of billions to create this technology, and soon, Charles, we're going to go into the inference and the monetization phase. So don't leave the party early. We've been spending so much money to create the technology. It's going to be deployed at the edge through applications. That's the big moment for investors. Nice. It's when that recurring revenue starts to kick in, the profits, and it's all from the inference stage, which is starting 2026.
We're going to get more details on inference and what that means. But Ivana, again, you've come on many times to swat down this sort of AI bubble notion. Doesn't mean a company here and there may not be overvalued from time to time, but the idea that, you know, the Michael Burrys of the world saying, listen, you know, he's crunched the numbers. It will never work. It will implode. And it's going to be 2000 all over again.
Yeah, Charles, well, to build on Beth's point, I think multiples where we're seeing them today, they're actually quite muted and trading at the lower end of the historic range. So for example, companies like NVIDIA that are viewed as a proxy for AI is actually very cheap today just because they've been able to grow their earnings so significantly. So usually in a bubble, you see multiples expand way ahead of fundamentals. And we're seeing the opposite here.
Yeah. And I've done this on my show. Bubbles and irrational exuberance, PE ratios go through the roof. Last year, Mag 7 PE ratios went lower. In fact, over the last several years, they've gone lower. So there's just so many things that belie that notion. There's another debate now that's come up, particularly last year. We started last year, everyone was feeling sorry for Google. The search engine was going to lose out. There's no way they can win. We ended the year with Google as the darling. Everyone thinks that Google and any of the names in that Google AI orbit are winners, and OpenAI and anything in that OpenAI orbit are losers, Beth.
I see them as both winners, especially once we get into that inference stage and all these applications can be built using their models. That's what these big tech companies and OpenAI are going after. They want their large language models to be embedded inside the proliferation of applications that is coming. They will both be winners in that regard.
What about from the financial point of view, though? I mean, OpenAI has got to raise $1.5 trillion. Second half of this year, they've got to start writing some checks. You've got companies like Oracle, whose stock has suffered because many don't think they'll get their check.
I would counter and say OpenAI has had the fastest trajectory in technology from 0 to 20 billion. We have to kind of pay attention here. They're monetizing very rapidly. We've had massive markets, mobile. We've had mobile, we've had cloud. No other company has monetized as quickly as OpenAI. They're predicting hundreds of billions by the end of this decade. I would just, let this unfold.
Ivana? Do you have a winner? Are you Google? Are you team Google, team OpenAI, or team opportunistic, one way or the other?
Well, I think team NVIDIA is really going to keep winning, right? Where I believe that they're still going to have a leadership position in general purpose computing. I think what we're going to see is a bifurcation and development of chips specific to different use cases. So for example, if you have a use case or a chip that's being used for advertising, a TPU, a Google TPU may be a very good fit for that.
Right.
If you're doing something more general purpose, like what OpenAI is doing, then an NVIDIA chip would be a better fit for that. So I think what's going to happen over time is chips are going to specialize depending on the use case that they're used for.
Let's talk about the big topic right now is power, how to power AI. You like some of the Bitcoin miners who have sort of changed their business model to be able to take advantage of this.
That's right, Charles. So what's been happening in the power space is that at the beginning, we were all worried about power shortage. And a lot of the IPPs were very good ways to play this because companies like Constellation, like Vistra, because they were able to add to existing infrastructure, they were able to add power generation capacity. Now we are at a point where that's tightening up, and everything that they have in the pipeline is already priced in. So an area that's not priced in is the Bitcoin miners who have secured power capacity, but they've not actually contracted it out. So they're going through the process of contracting out some of their larger power
So a name
plants.
like an Iron could qualify there.
That's right. So we like Applied Digital, that's been a top performer this year. We like TeraWulf. Iron is another one that we don't own, but it's a good play on this. So I think that's really where a lot of the incremental upside will come from.
And Beth, you gave me Bloom on the show, and I remember seeing Bloom on 60 Minutes like almost 10 years ago. I thought, wow, this thing is amazing. The stock never did anything. You mentioned it and it went to the moon. I would, you know, are there more opportunities like that?
Yeah, Bloom was one of our biggest winners last year because we are no longer GPU constrained, no longer compute constrained. We are power constrained. AI is an energy race. And where Bloom is very unique is that nuclear will take years, Bloom will take months to energize these GPUs.
Right.
They are solid oxide fuel cells that don't rely on the grid, you know, on-site power, behind the meter. When we're talking about hundreds of billions being spent on GPUs that could potentially sit idle if you don't get power to them, that's where Bloom Energy really stands out. They stood up some data centers for Oracle within 55 days.
Wow.
Unreal.
All right, we've got a minute to go, so let's talk beyond picks and shovels. And you mentioned inference a couple times. What exactly does that mean to the layperson?
In order to go into inference, I would first talk about the training phase we've been in, which is very compute intensive, requires tons of R&D. The economic reality of training is it's not meant to monetize. This is not the moment that you monetize for revenue. Inference, which is running those applications, running those large language models within those applications, that is when we can finally monetize. And we are on the precipice of that now, with many winners beginning to take shape.
And Ivana, you talked about space and Rocket Labs, and it just keeps going up and up and up and up. Ladies, thank you both very, very much. My thanks to Ivana Delevska and Beth Kindig.